Hello everyone. Tonight we are interviewing LitterBot.
Hey audience, that's me, LitterBot. Left the robot voice at home for this interview, so yeah.
Is there anything you would like to say before we start with the questions?
Um, Nothing really comes to mind. I'm excited to get started with this, as I'm sure you are. So let's get this rolling.
Okay. Well, I guess the number one question everybody wants to know is, what computer program do you use to get your robot voice?
Okay. This is a common question I get quite often, and time and time again, I fool myself into thinking that I'm going to end up making a tutorial video on how to do it, and I'm just always so busy I can't get around to it. But you know what? I'll use this opportunity to kind of explain the process a little bit so everyone can have a general understanding of how I do the magic. So the main program that I use for every recording, both robotic and not, is Adobe Audition. I am absolutely in love with the Adobe Suite and everything it has to offer, and I use all of their programs quite often. But I use Audition for recording my audio and voice, and I also use it for noise reduction, and I also go back to that in the end, and I'll explain that a little bit further in a bit, to level out and finish editing my audio. But yeah, I record an Audition, and for all intents and purposes, let's say we're recording a regular LitterBot video. So that's the GLaDOS sounding voice from Portal, kind of like that. So I'll record my story, and then after that I'll export it as a WAV file, and then briefly speaking, I bring it into Melodyne Studio, which is the program I use to flatten the pitch, raise the performance. I believe it's the same program that Valve used to replicate or to create the GLaDOS and Portal turret voices and stuff. So I found out how to do that pretty early on, and so I thought, why not make a channel around it? So I do the pitch shifting and flattening in there, and then I export that out into another wave, and then I bring that into Audacity, and in there I do that's where like a majority of the editing happens. I double up the layers, change the pitch again, and then I compress it, and then I bring it back into Audition so that I may add music, sound effects, anything else I might need. And then after that, I bring it all into Premiere to add the visuals. And so that's a brief description of my process, but there it is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any plans for your channel?
Well, I mean, as it stands, I'm currently doing pretty well for myself, so just gonna keep doing videos, keep growing, try to do a few more series, try to collaborate a little bit more, get my name out there, and I mean, because I mean, I love doing the robot voices and stuff, so I'm just gonna keep on doing that, and yeah, I'm just gonna keep making videos.
How did you come up with your channel name?
Before I created the LitterBot channel, as it were, I was always a big fan of Creepypasta in general, and I would just listen to it on my downtime or when I was working on other projects. And so about a few months or so before I got the channel up and running, I was working on an abridged series with a couple of friends of mine. And for those in the audience who don't know, abridged is briefly speaking, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged or whatever, or Dragon Ball Z abridged, where you just take something and you splice it together to make it something completely different, and usually comedic. And so I was working on an abridged for a show, and that show actually had a series of robot characters called LitterBots, and I was like, huh, you know what? Those are pretty good. So I decided to go with the LitterBot thing because at the time I was confused about what kind of, what angle I should go with my robot channel, because I knew I wanted to do something robotic with the voice, but I didn't know, what to call the channel. So I decided to go with LitterBot.
Okay. And the follow-up question to that is, how did your persona come to be?
At first, LitterBot was nothing more than just basically a glorified frowny face, and his whole persona and body and scarf and stuff didn't come to be until a friend of mine came along and actually did the first concept art for a body that I had no idea what it would eventually look like. I was just like I didn't even, at the time I was new to the community, and receiving fan art and stuff was so new to me that, like, if that someone coming along and just saying, hey, I can come up with a body for your character, I was amazed. I was just like, wow, like you will, that's great. And the first design they came with, I loved. It was the slender tall body with the scarf and the suit vest, and yeah, I fell in love with the design right then and there, and so basically just evolved from there.
Okay. How has narrating changed you and your life?
All right. Well, I mean, at one point in my life, I was very introverted. In fact, in middle school, I believe I won the superlative for shyest kid in school. Believe it or not. So I was in the yearbook for that. However, since then, I have definitely I've changed quite a bit. Not directly due to the channel or the things I do on my channel. But like before then, obviously I've grown out of my little shell. But doing the channel, I mean, at first, I did just the Litterbot voice, just the GLaDOS sounding voice. But I mean, over time, eventually, I decided to, try out different voices, and eventually, I discovered that I'm actually quite capable of doing a lot of different voices that I didn't originally think I was able to do. And so now my channel has a whole slew of different characters that I play, and they all sound distinctly different. And I could also do a bunch of other, like, more gimmicky kind of parody characters that I don't really intend to use for any of my videos. But yeah, so having the channel definitely allowed me to flesh out my ability to do different voices. Excuse me. And how's it changed my life? Well, I mean, it's definitely given me something to do outside of work and classes, of course. Um, but yeah, and it allowed me to have really good networking opportunities with a bunch of really good, important people. So definitely a good move there.
Why did you start narrating?
I was a fan. I was a fan of Creepypasta for years. I've listened to the famous Mr. Creepypasta and Creeps McPasta Jr. and friends, and I've listened to all of them, and eventually I learned how to do this neat robot sounding effect using the steps that I previously mentioned, and I decided that I wanted to try and use this ominous, eerie sounding, very cold robot sounding voice for narrations because it was something that no one else had done. Like, sure, like someone would do a one-off robot video, kind of, and it would sound more like, kind of like a robot from like an '80s movie or something. But I was the first guy to like consistently release these eerie robot videos, and I thought that was something I could do well and like I could excel at. And so that, along with determination and my friends pushing me along, um, I and that's pretty much how I started narrating.
What creepypasta do you want to narrate, but are having trouble narrating?
It's not so much a creepypasta as it is a short story. And I've been infatuated with this story ever since Mr. Creepypasta read it on his channel several years ago. It was called August 2026. There will come soft rains. I've always wanted to do that story. In fact, I've tried several times to try and narrate this story myself, and every single time I was not pleased with how it came out. And so I'm going to keep trying to do it until I come to a conclusion that I actually think is worthy to release. It's a story about in like an autonomous house that keeps on ticking even after humanity on Earth has ended. So definitely down my alley here. And so yeah, I definitely want to try and do that eventually.
What creepypasta has made an impact on your life?
Um, I can't really say that any particular one stands out. I mean, I do have a favorite, and that's the Russian sleep experiment because my favorite types of stories are the ones that have a sense of or a sense, excuse me, of reality to them. Ones that seem like they could have happened or seem like they can be true somehow. And so though, and especially ones that are like historical fiction, kind of like that. Like those ones, I tend to believe a lot better because they happened in the past, and a lot of crazy, evil, maniacal things have happened in the past, especially around World War II and the Cold War and stuff like that. So the Russian sleep experiment is definitely something that, definitely a story that I found to be one of my favorites.
What creepypasta will you not narrate?
Um, well, I mean, I have a rule from the start that I have a rule from the start that due to the type of narrations I do, certain stories just simply cannot be done with the robot voices. And those are usually first person stories. But I'm starting to break off from that because the series I'm currently doing, which is Dogscape, is actually a series of first person experiences done in a human voice as well. So I'm starting to, delve more into the first person stuff. So I'll start getting to more of them, I'm sure. But stories I simply will not do. Probably very heavily based in character stories, such as Jeff the Killer or Laughing Jack, things like that, where they're based more on a character than they are, you know, a situation. I'm just like that. That kind of goes back to why what I find scary in creepypasta, and that is the possibility of it being real. And stories like Jeff the Killer just they don't seem very real to me, so I probably won't be doing any on my channel.
Okay. And the last question is, what is a fun fact about yourself?
Um, um, I'm not. I don't really have any. There's nothing really fun about me. I'm just a guy doing videos on the internet. Nothing fun here.
You enjoy video games.
True, true. I try to play games with my friends as much as I can. Fun fact: currently going to school, university for film production. So very interested in directing news and live news production. So that's going to be something I am working towards. There's your fun fact.
Alrighty then. That is it for the questions. Is there anything you would like to say before we wrap this up?
Um, well, it was definitely an interesting experience to come in here and definitely answer these questions. I'm sure many people were wondering, you know, how does LitterBot work? What makes him tick? And so hopefully this shed some light on the mysterious man behind the robot, as it were.
Okay. All details for LitterBot will be down in the description below. And thank you for tuning in, and bye everyone.
Bye bye.